I'm Lauren of All Trades, and today I'm packing for a cruise. This video is sponsored by Level 8. More on them later on. Today I'm packing for my upcoming cruise, so I decided to record my process and kind of go through my tips and tricks for how I pack light. This is important because not only does that save you on having to pay for checking bags if you're flying to your cruise, but also because your cruise cabin is going to have very limited storage. It's not going to be nice and big like your traditional hotel room. And so packing light is going to make it easier to manage all your stuff in your cabin while you're on board. And also I go over my packing list, which is useful for making sure that you have everything you need, because once you're on board, you either won't be able to pick it up or it's going to be really expensive because of the limited quantities and selection. So let's go ahead and get started.
Step 1. Print packing list. On my website, and I'm going to link it right here on screen, this is just a short link to the page where I have the packing list linked. I have a printable packing list that I personally use every time I pack for a cruise. I think it's extremely helpful. It has guidance not only on what to pack, but also how many. And I will go over more details on how and why those numbers work for me when we get later into the video. Print it out and find a clipboard and a pen before you do anything else. Step 2, collect your bags. For the purposes of this video, where I promised you that we are packing light, I am only going to be using an airplane size carry-on bag. You might want to check it onto the ship, but I'm going to call it a carry-on because for an airplane, that's what it is. And then also a personal item sized bag. Again, personal size is a classification for an airplane, but it's going to be my carry-on bag for the cruise. And before this cruise, I actually got a new suitcase. It is from the Level 8 company, and trying it out for the first time, I'm pretty excited about it. They primarily make hard-sided bags. I did pick up the one soft-sided bag because I'm really partial to soft-sided. But what is nice about their hard-sided bags is that some of them have a nice feature where there is a compartment that opens in the front, which is one of my main complaints about hard-sided suitcases, is that there is no pocket in the front to be able to put something in your suitcase really easily and be able to grab it. So I'm going to talk more about my experience with this bag later on. I did end up liking it a lot, but if you are someone who likes hard-sided bags, definitely check out their selections for those as well. I'm going to have a link in the description for this video to their Amazon store. If you use it, it is an affiliate link, which does help me out. So if you're thinking about picking up one of their bags, definitely use the link in this video's description. Step 3, collect packing assistance devices. There is probably a better name for these two items, but packing assistance devices is what I'm going with. Actually, this one, it's a small over-the-door shoe organizer. So I actually don't use this to help me with packing. I use it for help with keeping things organized in my cabin. I actually don't really use it for shoes. I use it to hold all the stuff that doesn't otherwise have a home. Now this one I do use for packing assistance and then also storage in my cabin. I came across it on Amazon. It's called a legging organizer. And I thought it would be helpful for being able to just keep my clothes in that and then not having to have them in a closet, putting them on hangers and putting them in drawers. And then I decided to try putting my clothes into it when I was packing because I already roll my clothes to reduce wrinkles and take up less space, fit into my suitcase better. So I gave that a try, and look how easy this is. All I have to do is pull it out of my suitcase. It also goes back into my suitcase really easily, it's great. I highly recommend it, especially if you have 3 or 4 people in your cabin, because even the balcony cabins don't have a lot more closet space or drawer space. So if you have 3 or 4 people in your cabin, this is going to help out a lot with fitting all your clothes so that nobody has to live out of their suitcases. Step 4, go shopping. So now we are getting to the point we're going to pick out all the stuff that you're going to be taking on your cruise using that packing list that we printed in step 1. So there's no particular order to this. I kind of started at the top, kind of bounced around, but kept that packing list with me when I was finding all the stuff that I was going to need. So you'll see on the packing list that there are quantities for a lot of things, and that is definitely going to depend on you. For instance, I list tank tops separately from shirts. So if you're someone who only wears t-shirts, you're going to want more t-shirts and no tank tops, or vice versa. So my strategy for packing all of this stuff is I will pick out more items than are listed on the list. I just won't immediately put them into my suitcase. I will lay them all out in their little categories, and when I actually go to pack, I will pack closer to what is listed on the packing list and leave everything else sitting out. I will go back and add more stuff if I really want it, and assuming that there is space for it. I didn't list this as one of the steps, but it's definitely helpful to clear off your bed, make sure you have a nice clean surface, because you're going to be collecting all this stuff. You're going to maybe feel a little overwhelmed, but just keep going through that list and check off everything as you are collecting it. Okay, so I want to explain some of the stuff that's on my list that might not make sense if you've not been on a cruise before. This is pretty much all the stuff in the miscellaneous category. So the strong magnet hooks, those are for adding some storage to your cabin. Most cruise lines, most cruise ships, the walls are steel, and so they are magnetic. I have had experience with one ship where all of the walls had plastic panels and the walls were not magnetic, and that was disappointing. But every other cruise ship I've ever been on, I've been on a lot, I've been on multiple cruise lines, the walls are magnetic. So the strong magnetic hooks are so that you have more places to hang things. We'll also even put them on the ceiling. The ceiling in every cruise ship, every cruise cabin we've ever been on, the ceiling has been magnetic because it's steel. There are some things that are convenient to hang from the ceiling, but you do need to make sure that you get very strong hooks. I will actually put another link in the description to this video. It's to my Amazon storefront, where a bunch of stuff that I have purchased for cruises is there for you to shop from and pick out what you need that you don't already have. And I have the magnetic hooks that I actively use in there. The first set of magnetic hooks that I bought that claimed to be strong were not strong enough, and they couldn't really hold anything up. So do be careful when shopping. I'll put on screen what the minimum weight that you want to shop for is if you don't use the link from my storefront. The tea lights, those are just for if you want some ambiance in your cabin, because some of the lights are really harsh. You can also use them as a nightlight in the bathroom potentially. A lot of the stuff in miscellaneous is optional. The travel mug and reusable water bottle, that's just for convenience because the cups on board are really small. So a travel mug, a reusable water bottle, you're going to be able to fill up more volume. You're not going to have to make as many trips to refill your beverages. Also, on most cruise ships, the beverage stations are only found in the buffet area, so that's all the way up top and in the back of the ship. And if you're doing anything anywhere else on the ship, there isn't going to be a selection of free beverages. Now, there are some exceptions, of course. I've been on a few ships that have some beverage stations elsewhere around the lower level public areas, but mostly it's in the buffet. The laundry detergent sheets, I actually updated this recently. There are a bunch of brands now making laundry detergent sheets, which is super useful for traveling because the liquid would not be able to be put in a carry-on on a plane, and they dissolve better than the powdered detergent. And the reason that you would want these is so that you can do some hand washing of some of your clothes in the sink so that you can rewear stuff. That is a big strategy for packing light, is pack stuff expecting to rewear some of it. For me, that is particularly true with my tank tops because I will pack only a couple of those and then pack sheer tops, so very lightweight, but you can see through them, with the intention to wear one of my few tank tops underneath. And no one on board is going to know that I'm re-wearing my tank tops, and I've washed them so they're still clean. And that's a strategy that you can use as well. If that's not really your style, then it does still help to pack fewer things, pack things that are neutral, that you don't think someone's going to notice that you've already worn it before. A plain black t-shirt is not going to stick out as having been something that you've already worn. You might have packed 2 plain black t-shirts, and you can use your detergent sheets, hand wash it in the sink in your bathroom, and hang it up to dry. All of the showers have clotheslines that you can use exactly for that purpose. The wine/champagne and soda I'm going to come back to. We're going to talk about that later. The hot sauce is because we like to put buffalo sauce on our pizza, and at least on most Carnival ships, they don't have a hot sauce that we like. I think they just have Tabasco. We always bring it with us because we like to have Red Hot with us. And then the over-the-door organizer, that's the shoe holder that we already talked about. And then finally, the reusable straws, that is because, well, for me, save the turtles, but also because, for that reason, a lot of the cruise lines stop providing straws for your drinks. There are a good amount of items on my list I never end up using when I'm on a cruise, but I always want to have them in case I need them. This is mostly in the medical section of the packing list. I may never need Pepto-Bismol, but if I do need it, it's great to just have some with me instead of having to go to the store on board, which hopefully is open when I need it, and overpaying for it. So at this point, I've got most of the items either checked off or I've decided not to bring them. So as I'm going through, there's a lot going on, so I start circling the things that I either haven't packed yet and I'm going to come back to, or things that I intentionally am waiting for later. So like I have jeans on there because I always wear jeans on travel days to reduce volume in my suitcase, and also because I like wearing pants on an airplane if I'm flying. So my outfit that I'm going to be wearing on day 1, I'm circling all of those items, and then anything that's circled, I cross out as it gets packed. I also make sure that any of those things that I still need, even if I've set it aside, I don't cross it off until it goes into a bag. Thinking that, yeah, I'll remember, that is the easiest way to miss something that you know that you meant to pack. Step 5, pack. Before we get to the last couple details for packing for your cruise, I do want to talk about my brand new level 8 suitcase. I like it so much. It has some very thoughtful features incorporated into the design that I really appreciate. It has some flaps for putting things that you might want easy access to. It has a pouch for anything that might be wet, so really helpful for my bathing suit that I wore on the last day of the cruise that I don't want to soggy up the rest of my clothes because it's not going to dry before it's time to leave. And just some really useful stuff in the front pouch. There is a clip for your keys, which I really like because once I lock my car and walk away from it, it becomes really easy to lose track of your keys up until the point where you get back to your car and you're like, oh crap, where did those go? So there's a little strap with a clip for your keys, and then that makes it easy for me to find them when the time comes. There is also a side pocket for things that you might want easy access to. There's also a document pocket right on the front. Also in the front pocket, there are 2 padded pouches for a laptop or a tablet, or both. If you have both, there is padding for both. You don't have to pick and choose which one is protected. So I really like the design of this bag. I would highly recommend it if you like a soft-sided suitcase. It is their only one that I could find when I was shopping. There's the clip for my keys. And like I said earlier, if you like a hard-sided bag, that is what they specialize in. That is their primary product line. But yeah, if you like a hard-sided bag, a lot of options, and they have some kind of front pouch that helps you to have something that you need to grab easily, like your passports when you're boarding your cruise. This one is a 21-inch bag. It is meant to be carry-on size for the major airlines. There is the side pocket, perfect for passports. I intentionally tried it on carpet and put my book bag on top to add some weight to it to see how it does on carpet. And this bag did great, even with the added weight. Without the added weight, it was really nice. The zipper was a little bit sticky, but that's because it's big metal teeth, which means that it's not going to break. So pros and cons, ultimately it is a pro. If you want to check out this bag or any of their other bags, the link will be in the description. Now back to finally packing for this cruise. Now that it's time to start packing, I want to point out the section in the lower left corner of my packing list. That is duplicates, actually. So that's not a new set of items. But why that's important is that if you are checking a bag onto the cruise ship, that bag will not be delivered to your cabin right away. It's a whole process to get all those checked bags delivered, so it can take hours. And there is the possibility of bags getting lost. It's not common, but it happens. So you want to make sure that the most important stuff is in your carry-on, in addition to anything that you're going to want for that first day up until when your bag ultimately gets delivered. So you're going to want to start with your carry-on, paying attention to that section, and then move on to everything else. So like I said earlier, at this point, I'm going back through my packing list, referring to the quantities, and packing only those quantities and leaving out anything extra. In addition to that, after I have all of the in your carry-on items in my carry-on, I will handpick whatever else I would really like to make sure makes it onto the ship with me and add those things to my carry-on as well. Before I start packing the bag, I'm going to be checking onto the cruise ship. From there, it's pretty self-explanatory. Pack the stuff that you've got. If you don't go for a hanging legging organizer, I can understand why that would be something you don't believe in yet. I still absolutely recommend rolling your clothes and putting them into your suitcase rolled. It allows them to squish together better without wrinkling. I've been packing that way for decades, and that is a better way to pack, in my opinion. Or in my expertise. I'll let you be the judge of that. The one other tip I have for you when you are packing your rolling suitcase, assuming you have a rolling bag and not a duffel bag, if you have a rolling bag, spinner or otherwise, there is along the bottom, it's the back, but when you're packing it, it's on the bottom, where the handle takes up space in the bottom of the bag. So I like to find things that fit between those that might not fit as nicely if I wait to put them in last. So like shoes, flip-flops in particular, because I'm not going to need those first thing when I get there. I'm good with the shoes I'm currently wearing, my first aid kit, my boxes that I have jewelry in. Those clunky things, if they're on the bottom, your clothes will fit around them. Whereas if you start with clothes, your rolled clothes will fit nicely along in there, but you may find by the time you get to the top, you don't have good space for your shoes. Or you decide not to roll your clothes after all because you're really used to having everything neatly folded. Putting shoes and hard stuff like I described along the bottom gives you a nice flat surface to put your clothes on top of. I also like to stick socks and underwear in my shoes to help maximize space in my suitcase, and some little tricks like that. And then finally, once you have checked everything off your list, you can assess how much space you have left and add some of the stuff you left out, space permitting. Do keep in mind you are probably going to want some space for bringing home some souvenirs and other nifty gifties that you pick up on your trip. Also, if you do what I did, which was to leave some items uncollected, because I'm going to have to collect them right before leaving for the trip, make sure that you are still leaving space for those when you are adding extra items to your bags. Step 6, in-room beverages. I made this one a bonus step for a couple of reasons. One is that you wouldn't be able to carry this on to an airplane. You'd have to check a bag with your liquids. And what I was going for with this video was that you didn't have to check a bag. The other thing is that not all cruise lines allow you to bring on soda or wine. Look up if your cruise line allows those on board. Usually if you're allowed one, you're allowed the other. I will mention that the 12-pack of soda/juice, the cruise lines that allow it, they are expecting you to only bring cans or cartons, so like juice boxes, but they do not allow bottled water or bottled iced teas, Gatorades, anything that you might have opened and replaced with alcohol. And then usually one bottle of wine or champagne, the standard size, not the big one, per adult. You don't have to empty your box of soda into a bag, but I choose to, and I like to use some of that extra clothes that I'd picked out that wasn't otherwise going to make it onto the cruise with me as some padding to keep the sodas and the wines from exploding, breaking on the trip. Unlike for a flight, you do have to carry them onto the cruise. So all wine and soda must be put into a carry-on or left in their box when you are boarding the cruise, or they could get confiscated.
So that was how I pack for a cruise. The biggest advice I can give you is to utilize my packing list. If it doesn't perfectly match your needs, write in anything that you know that you're gonna want all the time, and then maybe photocopy it. I don't know how that works. Put it in the comments and I can update that packing list so that it fits more people's needs. And if you have any questions or comments, if you want anything linked of anything that I use, some of my links I'm going to put in the description, but if there's something you spot where there isn't a link, leave a comment and I can link you to exactly what it is that I use. And likes, subscribes, and shares are really helpful for the channel. That's it for me and how to pack light for a cruise.